Okay everyone, today's going to be a fun one. This is a demonstration I find particularly interesting. I'm going to show you how to make a fire using only a few chemicals. No spark, no heat source required. Sound like magic? Far from it. Science! So hang out for a few minutes and see how carrying 2 or maybe 3 small bottles could save your life someday. Or make you look like a wizard. Which could also conceivably save your life one day.
That's right! Do not question us, or we shall have to unleash our awesome and terrible power, and you don't want that.
And here's today's list of components. Potassium permanganate, glycerol or glycerin, water, and, as an omen of things to come, lighter fluid. So this one has been making the rounds online a lot lately, and it really is a lot of fun to do. This is potassium permanganate, and this is glycerin, or glycerol if you prefer. And these are the two main components we're going to be working with today. If you remember from a few days ago, we used potassium permanganate in our elephant toothpaste demonstration. Now, as I mentioned, this can be found in swimming pool supply stores and sporting goods stores because it's a water purifier, among other things. And glycerin also has dozens of practical applications, but your best bet to find it is in the baking aisle of large craft stores because it's used as a sweetener. That's actually pretty good. So you'd think that it would be readily available in grocery stores as well, but I have never been able to find it in one. Now you may also be able to find this in pharmacies because it's used as a laxative and as a lubricant, but that's a bit of a long shot. So the elephant toothpaste demonstration was of an exothermic reaction. Today's demonstration really isn't that much different. We're going to be mixing the potassium permanganate and the glycerin to make a reduction-oxidation reaction. Basically, potassium permanganate is an oxidizer, and it'll transfer oxygen atoms to the glycerin, which is a reducer. In exchange, the glycerin will transfer a few electrons back. This creates a lot of heat, which in turn causes the glycerin to ignite. At first, we're just going to mix these two chemicals just by themselves. Now if you just pour the glycerin right over the potassium permanganate, it takes quite a while for the reaction to happen. It's a bit of a delayed reaction. You can speed it up a little bit by stirring it slightly. You just need to make sure that you get your hand out of the way in time. Now you can do this with regular antifreeze as well, instead of using the glycerin, but I found that the reaction actually takes longer and is a little weaker. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to make this mixture even more combustible by adding a few drops of water to the potassium permanganate before adding the glycerin.
Say what?
Now I know adding water to things doesn't usually help them burn better, but this is no ordinary fire now, is it? In short, when dissolved in water, potassium permanganate breaks down into charged ions of potassium and permanganate, and that permanganate is an exceptionally powerful oxidizer. Also, the additional oxygen from the water molecule does help to improve the reaction time and strength. Now when I say this makes the mixture more combustible, that's a bit of a misnomer. What it really does is just improve the oxidation of the reaction and make it a little more reactive. You don't need a whole lot of water, just a few drops. We're just going to turn this powder into kind of a crumbly paste. This may not burst into flames like it did before, but you should see a reaction a lot faster than we did the first time. So as you can see, it did not burst into flame this time, but it did catch a lot faster than it did before. So naturally, this got me thinking. Adding an additional oxidizer helped improve the reaction. Now what would happen if we added an extra combustible? So, with a reckless disregard for my own safety, I added a few drops of lighter fluid to the potassium permanganate before adding the glycerin. Now here's what that looks like.
Nothing to see here, please!
No, I'm kidding. Here it is for real. And again, we don't need too much of the lighter fluid, just a few drops. The idea is that the reaction of the potassium permanganate and the glycerin will reach the flash point of the lighter fluid. So there you have it. If you just keep a small bottle of potassium permanganate and a small bottle of glycerin in your camping bag with an optional small bottle of lighter fluid, that's all you really need to get a campfire started if, for whatever reason you're without any other means to start a fire. I'm not gonna lie though, you're probably better off just packing some extra matches or an extra lighter. Now I also need to make a small confession. I said earlier in this video that this could save your life someday, but the f***ed up part about this reaction is that it relies heavily on atmospheric conditions, especially temperature. Unfortunately, this reaction doesn't happen very well if the ambient temperature is below basic comfortable room temperature, say about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're out in the wilderness and the temperature drops to the point where you absolutely need a fire, unfortunately this is not going to save you. But I guess if you were out in the wilderness and you knew it was going to get cold at night, you could use this trick to start a campfire during the day and just keep it going into the night. So I guess that's something. Okay folks, that's as far as I'm going to go for now. I think I've done enough damage for one day. And if showing you how to weaponize water purifiers and baking supplies is enough to get you to click that like, comment, or subscribe buttons, then hey, I don't know what is. Just do it. Just get it over with already.
Ha 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 ha!